Dr. Isaac Bogoch is an infectious diseases specialist at the University of Toronto. He frequently joins us here at CPAC to provide context for the latest COVID-19 developments. He's doing that again today for us. Thanks for your time again, Dr. Bogoch. Good to see you.
My pleasure. Good to see you as well.
Look, lots of continuing questions and perhaps some building reluctance to the use now of the AstraZeneca vaccine in Canada. What are your thoughts on whether we should keep using it or not?
Well, I mean, in Ontario, for example, they pushed pause, and I think the messaging really focused around two key points. One is that with Ontario data, the risk of these blood clotting events, while rare, went from about 1 in 100,000 to about 1 in 60,000. So it's fair to say that they're still rare, but that is a change, and that's an important change. The other important point, too, that I think was kind of lost in the mix was supply issues. It's hard to run a vaccine program when you don't have a steady or reliable supply of a particular vaccine. We have a ton of mRNA vaccines coming into the province, namely Pfizer and Moderna. We know that the risk is 0% of this rare blood clotting event with those versus a 1 in 60,000 risk with a vaccine that we don't really get much of. And when we do get it, it's not quite clear how much we're going to get or when we're going to get it. So I think based on the growing volume of a vaccine that doesn't carry that risk, coupled with inconsistent supply, it was the right move. And I think what we'll see is the AstraZeneca that's left in the province and any more AstraZeneca that comes into the province will be used for second doses. One other thing, pardon me for belaboring this point, people that got AstraZeneca made the right choice. Like, it's a good vaccine, and I really hope people recognize that. I hope there's no buyer's remorse. We hear that term being used. Like, it really provides very good protection against COVID-19 and, of course, against hospitalizations. And there's excellent data demonstrating the effectiveness of a single dose of AstraZeneca. Of course, everybody needs 2 doses. Those who have had AstraZeneca will be okay. They're either going to get a second dose of AstraZeneca or they're going to get a second dose of an mRNA vaccine, but they will be looked after.
Yeah,
sure.
Well, let's go there. You brought it up, and I was going to bring it up anyway, but I'm one of those people. So I've had an initial dose of AstraZeneca. And, given everything you hear, a lot of people will be wondering, and I'm not frankly sure where I'm at on all of this yet when I hear all this information. But so what do you do for next time around? Do you, if an AstraZeneca shot's available, is that the one you take, or should you be waiting to see whether the evidence suggests the mixing of vaccines is appropriate, effective, and safe?
Yeah, I mean, my wife's in this exact same situation as well. She received a first dose of AstraZeneca. She allowed me to share that information, by the way. but I mean, I think, and there's thousands and thousands of people in this setting. Luckily, we have a bit of a gift of time. Like, I appreciate that everyone would love to have an answer right now, and I appreciate that there's anxiety around this, as there should be. We've seen some mixed messaging and confusing messaging about this. But when we, believe it or not, the best dosing strategy for AstraZeneca is at day 1 and then at day 3 months. That provides a pretty significant immune response that's better than a shortened time frame between that. So there's a bit of a gift of time. And that's helpful because, quite frankly, there's emerging data from the United Kingdom demonstrating a couple of things. One is it appears, I have to be careful with my words, it appears that the risk of having these blood clotting events after a second dose of AstraZeneca is markedly lower than after the first dose of AstraZeneca. Now, some of the numbers from the United Kingdom suggest that it could be as low as 1 in a million, but I think we have to be very careful at looking at those numbers. We have to be critical looking at those numbers. But it looks like if this process is going to happen, it's going to happen after the first dose, not after the second dose. The second bit of data we have to look at is this mixing and matching study coming from the United Kingdom, where they're doing just this. First dose of AstraZeneca, second dose of Pfizer vaccine, and vice versa. And some of those results will come out probably in the next day or so. Other results from that study will come out in a week or two. So it'll be very, very helpful. But really, I've got to be careful here. I don't want to. People should recognize I'm speculating, but I think it's going to be very fair to say that the mixing and matching is going to be fine. You might have some more significant symptoms if you mix and match, because people might mount a more robust immune response, or maybe for other reasons as well. But I don't think we're going to see any major safety signals or issues with effectiveness with mixing and matching. But that's speculation. Let's wait for the data, which is coming soon, and the data can help drive our decision as to what the best way to move forward is.
Right. You and I have talked about this before, and that's around the issues around messaging. I mean, we have these discrepancies, and I want to be careful, again, how we describe it. The evidence presented by Health Canada to date, and it comes in stages. We have to put, the information, the science evolves. But, we have Health Canada saying their latest current estimated rate of the blood clot side effect from AstraZeneca is 1 case per 100,000. The science table in Ontario says now it's closer to 1 case per 55,000. That's a significant difference. So how are Canadians supposed to view that, what appears to be conflicting information?
Right. I mean, as always, data, especially in the COVID-19 era, the clip of new discovery is moving very quickly. And I think it's very important to obviously communicate this in a meaningful manner in real time so that you can really help enable people to make good decisions for themselves. And I am a fan of radical transparency. I mean, I think everyone needs to see this information, but of course it has to be contextualized, right? You can't just drop information and walk away. I mean, putting this in the appropriate context is extremely important. Like, obviously, an incidence of 1 in 60,000 is obviously very different than 1 in 100,000, but it's still a very rare event. Right. But of course, when we put in the context of having a significant number of other vaccines coming into the country that don't carry that risk, I mean, it just makes sense. They both provide excellent protection against COVID-19, and you either have a very, very rare risk of developing a severe outcome or no risk of developing that severe outcome. So, I take the no risk, but that wasn't true, in March, in April, and in the early part of May. I mean, it's fair to say that this is a public health emergency by any means. It's not every day you've got adults admitted to your pediatric ICUs. It's not every day you've got tents set up in front of your hospitals where you could put patients in or canceling surgeries across your province because you need an all-hands-on-deck approach. AstraZeneca provides very good protection against COVID-19. I really think those who took the vaccine, my opinion is they did the right thing. It's a good vaccine, and it provides protection for you and those around you.
Just to summarize here, to finish up, so are we at a point, do you believe, where the prevailing advice here should be AstraZeneca in very particular situations, or when nothing else is available, but the mRNAs or the Pfizer and Moderna are now the preferred vaccines?
And I think that's going to be driven because of supply. And also, you can't ignore the real but still very rare side effects.
All right, Dr. Isaac Bogoch, always great to hear from you, sir. Take care. We'll talk again.
Be well. Have a good one.